So today's a very special podcast. We've actually scrapped everything we had planned to be able to bring this podcast today. So it's a very last minute one, but we're really grateful to have Harpreet and Sukhi in the room with us from Atwal Wealth.
Yes, that's right. So like Serena was mentioning, we've moved stuff back because of what's going on in the world, in the economy, because we felt that we needed to get this out. And me and Serena, we're just a guy and a girl on YouTube. We don't know what we're talking about. So we needed someone with expertise, a wealth of experience, no pun intended, and also someone that's actually gone through it and seen it beforehand. And can give a wealth of knowledge to you guys and bring a hell of a load of value. So, welcome our next guests from Atwal Wealth, Harpreet and Sukhi, the family members. Yeah.
Right, Harpreet and Sukhi, welcome to Book Smart, Street Smart.
Thank you. Thank you. You know what?
Our favourite couple in the world.
Aww.
Yeah, by far.
No, you're our favourite.
Yeah.
We talk about you. You're our
We
goals.
love to each other.
We always talk about Harpreet and Sukhi, and we really do look up to you guys, and to be able to have you here to share your advice and everything that you guys do and offer and your seva for the community is amazing. So I think we're going to get stuck in straight away. And what we want to know, and what we want the listeners to know is, we obviously know your journey and where you guys have got to today. But for the people who are listening, what do you guys do and what was the journey to get there? Because we want to build a bit of credibility, because we're going to go into some really nitty gritty advice, and people listening right now want to know a bit about you guys. So let's get into that first. Tell us about your journey.
Do you know what, guys? Firstly, thank you for shouting, for asking us to be here, because actually there's not enough of this. There's not enough young people saying, hang on, what's happening, and paying attention to what's going on. So me and Hap, we met at uni. And then we got married. Yeah, studying business, got married really young, 22 and 23. So those days, you didn't go out. You found out you were hooked. You were like, that's it, man. You're going. Next thing you're married and off you go. But yeah, so we went into financial advice a couple of years after we got married. I became a financial advisor, but at the same time, we started buying property. We both come from single parent families, so we come from pretty much quite, I'd say to some extent poor backgrounds.
Poverty, you could say.
So poverty, yeah.
Working class.
Working class families, and we didn't really have much to start. We started off just the two of us, we're not really anything. So it was a case of, I think we had that mentality of, I remember meeting Harpreet, and he said to me, I'm going to be bankrupt in my life because I'm going to be the next Donald Trump. He's like literally what he said to me at uni.
Harpreet, you said that really?
I remember the bankrupt.
Can I give you a fist pump through the air? I'll give you a fist pump through the
because
air.
I always had this ambition and drive that, I've looked at all these millionaires and all of them have gone bankrupt, so that means I'm going to have to go bankrupt to become successful, and that's cool. And she's like, yeah, that's cool.
Can I just interject there? Remember your thought there. This is a very, very important thing you've said here. Because we've been in a bull market, the economy's been so great for the last 12, 15 years. So people my age haven't failed, don't know what it's like to understand what a failure is. And because you had the mindset, as in like, I want to fail to learn what I can learn from the failure. That's humble. What's got you to where you are.
Humble,
so we need to
grounded.
make sure that we hit home that anyone listening to this, failure is a big part of success. You need to fail to succeed.
Let me just add something to that. Failure is just a lesson in guiding us for the future. We get so het up on failure. If this goes wrong, if that goes wrong. I fully believe we're very faithful people. We'll bring up that at some point during this video. That everything's meant to be. There is no such thing as failure. It's just a lesson. Some of our 100%. Most expensive failures have been our best lessons. I've looked back at it and like a year later, like, whoa, all these other things happened which went really well. So yeah, just take a chill pill on some of the failures and wake up the next day, brush yourself off and realise that going down that path would have been wrong.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a protection thing as well, I think.
Yeah, 100%. I'm with you on that. So Sukhi, sorry to interject.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, so you met each other at uni and...
he said he was going to be bankrupt. You still accepted it and married you.
I remember that bit.
Yeah, I'm still like, do you know what? I loved his ambition. I loved his ambition, and I think to me, when you've grown up with not a lot, you want to find that person that wants to fight for it. And I think that's where we've done really well, in the sense that when you've not got anything, you don't have fear of taking risk. And we're quite I'm very analytical. Hap's really like, okay, this is the next great big thing. We're going to do this. And I'll be like, okay, well, let me just think, does it work? And then if it works on paper, I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. And generally, that's how we've been in life. So we kind of, Hap would do the reading, he'd do the studying, and he'd be like, oh, Sukhi, look about this. So we went into property. So we were 20.
Tell them the £10,000 story.
Oh,
So we started with nothing, genuinely, and I read a load of books about property and investment. This is in 2003.
So you're a financial advisor at
But
this
you
point?
Not yet, no. We just bought
I think I
our,
just
we just
working
bought
for a
our,
company, wasn't it?
we just bought our first home.
Yeah.
And you just were training to be an advisor.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was working for Co-op, so I was working for a good established company, and you know what? I had time on my hands. The timing was flexible, so I had some time. Started reading some books on property investment, and then we kind of realised there was one issue: we didn't have cash. And then we ended up taking some equity out of the house. And that was it. That was how our journey started. And this is the £10,000 question. Our initial outlay started from Sukhi's phone call. I'll let you carry on.
So Hap goes to me, we're going to buy property. Let's buy property. And I was like, yeah. And I think the deposit we needed was £3,000 at the time. So we were up north. So property was about 35,000. You could get buy-to-lets for 10%.
This is 20 years ago.
Yeah, this is 20 years ago. We've been married. We've been
talk
married
about 2022
21
rules,
years.
but-
And Hap goes, we've got no money. Like, we've bought this house. We borrowed money off my mum, like her life savings, to put a deposit down on our house. And Hap's like, well, this is what we need to do, but how do we do it? And I was like, well, there's money in our house. And I remember literally Hap saying to me, how do we get this money out? So you didn't have Google in those days. You read books, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So Hap read this book and he goes, we can take money out, but we need to ring the mortgage company. And I rang them up. I remember I sat in my pajamas and I rang
£6 a month, I remember.
Yeah, I rang them up and I said, bought a new house and we need to do a new kitchen in this house and I want to expand it. And the value had gone up, so we bought really well, didn't we? Within like a couple of months, the value of our house had gone up. And they were like, how much do you need for this kitchen? And I looked at Hap and he was like, 10,000. And I was like, 12,000.
Yes, what a girl.
They give you an inch, you took a mile.
Yeah.
I love it.
And they were like, yeah, everything seems fine. And like within 2 weeks, we had this £12,000 deposited into our account, which was a lot of money for us.
Yeah.
You know, that was like, whoa. And then we looked at it and we looked at the figure and we were like, oh, you know what? We can buy 3 houses with this.
Yeah,
and like literally, that's what we did. We
And I
went
remember-
out there and we picked up 3 houses at, I think they were between 33 and 40,000 pound. And then we did them up. I had 2 young little cousins. They came up and like literally these houses were done by Hap and a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, I think they were. No, 12 and 14.
Really?
Just decorated them.
Just
They were
decorated them
they
and
were just
rented
giving
them.
mortgages away at this point, weren't they?
They were.
Yeah.
That was
First
like
mortgage was really tough. I remember 90% of lenders. I was at under 20.
we were under 25.
Under 25.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to touch us. This was just before the buy-to-let boom started. So
Yeah.
no,
So this
that was
was-
a little bit trickier. And then we suddenly got it and got moving and got our first property.
That was it. We got our first, and then they were happy to
Once
kind
you
of
got one,
lend.
I was
Once you
about
got
that.
one, they were happy
Yeah.
to lend. And then once we'd got a deposit, which is all they cared about those days, they cared about deposit and they cared about the rent stacking up. And there's me.
Don't worry,
moving
you're
everything.
good.
DB staring at me. He's like,
What you can't see behind the scenes.
And he says, yeah. And we just was like, right, okay, we've got the deposit, we've got this, the rent stacks up, and then they'd lend. And so this was 2003.
2005.
And then that was it. That was the beginning of kind of how we started building up a portfolio.
Wow.
So we both were graduates, so we both had good jobs. And we just happy did financial services because I had a good job, so we needed one salary to keep us going. So he got trained up as a financial advisor. Then we had Josh, who's in 2004. I was on maternity leave. And so during that time, we set up the financial services. Atwal Wealth became a proper entity. So we set up the offices.
Oh, wow.
So, and little Josh used to be, I was pregnant initially, and then he'd come into the office as a little baby, and he was classed as the baby in the window because everybody'd see this little baby sitting in the window of our offices. Like, so we were like,
Everyone knew Josh, yeah.
and he, up
Until he
until
sold mortgages with Josh in my lap.
yeah, literally.
Okay.
And that's how we
knew it.
started off. And then I had Jay. So Jay came in 2006. By this point, we had about 12 properties.
Oh, wow. So in 3 years, you...
We like so literally.
Yeah,
so at the
we kept
time,
going. It was really aggressive.
We got a formula and we just
at the
stuck to it.
time, what you could do was, and you can't do this now, things
Yeah.
have changed, but at the time, what you could do was buy a property, and we were picking up properties like slightly under value, doing them up, and within a month you could remortgage it and pull out the equity.
Okay, yeah.
So we became...
And then do it again.
And
Okay.
they do it again. And like literally that's what we did. And we'd got to a point, then we started advertising to people, like we were buying people desperate to sell. So we'd go in and buy property at 70% of market value.
Distressed property.
Distressed
Motivated
properties.
sellers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, so there people,
The people
so it
got
got to a
known,
point where
actually.
estate agents knew that
Everybody knew us, to be honest.
we would buy stuff. So in the space of between...
And which times this? It's a northern
So this
time.
is
2003,
2006. So between 2003 to 2008, we went from having nothing to having 50 properties.
50
And
properties.
in which areas?
It's so
All in
Scunthorpe,
all.
Grimsby, Doncaster.
Oh, them
Whoa, 50 properties.
Wow.
In this, because we were aggressive. It worked.
It was aggressive
The
strategy.
formula worked.
It was a formula.
And we kept doing it. And we'd got to a
This
point.
is the other thing, when something works, why do people change
Yeah,
the vote?
and
We just
we-
stuck to the strategy. We knew the strategy.
And we just
we
kept
just
going.
stuck to
But can I ask, right? So if you're listening to this right now, you must think 50 properties, these guys were minted, living the big life. What was your lifestyle like?
So we're quite as much as like
Really
we're as much
interesting.
as
Good
like I'm
question.
quite we like to spend and we like to enjoy life. Now at that point we didn't
We didn't.
really go out. We had one holiday a year max. Even that I'd sit there and I'd find the best deal on like lastminute.com or teletext.
Yeah. Teletext. Wow,
I know, these are going back,
You're
yeah.
showing your age there, Sukhi, bloody hell.
Video man's
Remember
laughing in the
teletext?
background going, what? What's
Yeah.
teletext? He's Googling it.
Guys, you
black
need
and
to
green.
if you don't
Cameras,
know what
Google
teletext
teletext.
is, you need to Google it.
Google it.
That was
Imagine buying a holiday on teletext. You'd be mind blown that people did it.
But to the hustlers out there,
And they-
we didn't.
We weren't big
worked.
spenders.
My
We
friends, I
worked.
remember specifically, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, painting a house. Like, what? Seriously? We're going out. We're going clubbing. We're doing this. So seriously, guys, I gave up my fun times in a way. But I built assets and I built income. So now I'm, there is some fruits of it now.
And I think that
Yeah.
is
There
so
is some fruit of it
important.
now.
Dee always says this to me. He goes, people always do it wrong. They live their life in their 20s, right? Go out, experience
This has got
life,
to be brought up.
holidays, but then they come to later on in life and they're killed in debt. And Dee always says to me, we're not going to do that. We're going to do the opposite way around.
Beautiful.
So people always say to us, like, you guys are always everywhere. You have no sleep. But it's literally because Dee
We're
said,
hustling.
we are
We're working.
hustling now and then we can
Beautiful.
enjoy
Oh,
life.
yeah.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna tell a story actually. I'm gonna interject because a couple of years back, remember when Serena, you've quit your job now,
Yeah.
but when she first got her job, we're about 6 months in to her having her job, and it's my birthday. She's took me to a spa in somewhere, I can't remember, London somewhere, and we're in this spa and we're talking in the jacuzzi or whatever.
Keep this.
And, yeah, it's PG. No, it's in a spa, man. It's PG.
We're in a public place.
Anyway, we're just talking, and she's 6 months in, and I'm like, okay, so then, she's got a full-time job, a decent income. So I'm like, oh, how much have you got saved now then? So you must have like 5-6 grand saved now, because I'm basing it on, she earned about 2 grand a month. So if she's spending a grand, she must have 5 grand. She must have saving a grand at least. She got no costs at home. So I'm like, you must have 5-6 grand. And she goes, her face just went pale. And she goes, I'm about £2,000 in my overdraft.
Yeah. Very
And I was
common.
like, what?
Well, this is my uni overdraft. Can I
Yeah.
just say that
Yeah.
little?
But
So it
either-
wasn't that deep, but
anyway,
still.
no, it's not, because you had full-time job before that as well, for a year and other things. So anyway, at that point, we made the decision that, listen, we got to save, you got to be aggressive with your saving, you've got to pay yourself first and all this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
And a lot of
Yeah.
the kids don't know this kind of information. We're not taught
Yeah.
it. There's no
Yeah.
university degree. We're taught to do all these things, spend 25,000-30,000 pounds on these degrees. and
Listen,
get in
who
debt.
wants to paint a house at a weekend
Yeah.
when you could go to Mauritius? You could go Barbados.
Of
you
course,
could go on a
it's-
cruise ship.
And you can have the
But-
latest bag, you can have the
Of course
latest
you could,
car.
of course you
It's
could.
easy to get finance
So
these days.
right now
It
we're
is.
hitting we're going to talk about that in a
Yeah.
while, but we're hitting the toughest period, I promise you, that anyone's ever seen.
And what
Anyone, I'm been in business 20 years now. This is the serious stuff. If you haven't got some nest eggs saved now, you're going to find some pressure. If you haven't learned how to adapt to this current climate, then you need to learn quick. So hence the reason you need to listen to this podcast.
Yeah, 100%. What I was going to say is, from 2003 to 2008, you had your success years of growing from 0 to 50 properties. Then the financial crisis came, as
Yeah.
in like the
That's
property,
interesting.
the
Yeah.
big boom. So talk to us a little
That
bit
was a
about that,
tough period,
because obviously
actually.
that's high interest
Winter
rates. Was
level.
rents covering you? Tell me how you got through, because 50 properties, that's 50 mortgages. If your interest rates go up straight away, obviously.
Do you know what?
How
That was
did
really
that work?
interesting because we also run a financial services company. Income dropped in that company significantly.
Yeah.
So for all the mortgage and financial people out there, be prepared for that to happen again. It's literally we were getting 5-10 phone calls a week I remember getting 5-10 phone calls a week to getting 0 for months.
Wow.
And 2008, I remember as soon as that credit crunch hit, nobody wanted a mortgage. Who would want to buy something when, like you said, interest rates were moving about all the
That
place?
wasn't a credit crunch. It
People
was
was-
called the Great Recession.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it
so
was
I remember
serious.
that was a panic point, wasn't it? We were making some major decisions at that point of what to do. So, however, the property, and this is why we believe in this word called diversification, having multiple assets, property, shares, cash, whether it's gold, have multiple things, that saved us because that income was consistent. Why? Because everybody needs to live.
Yeah, of
everybody needs to
course,
rent.
yeah.
The rents didn't stop. Our tenants, I don't think anybody stopped paying. Everybody still has to live. That's one of your high priority bills. So everybody paid the rent and everything was fine. So that income kept coming in. We finished off a few development projects. We had to rejig the financial services company. I think at that point I actually decided to close it for about 2 years. If I'm being honest, it was tough times and we shut the office, we closed it. I concentrated on being a full-time property developer. There was a few sites we were trying to finish. We'd maybe raised the bar a little bit, so we started developing our own sites. A HMO project, a house of multiple occupation we built from scratch.
Oh,
And
really?
then,
Wow.
a pair of flats from scratch we built.
And we
contracted that out.
built our own
And then we'd
home.
also built our own house. We built our own beautiful house at that point. So the recession hit and we was living in this beautiful home. So that was all done. And then bang, it hit us. And there's and I remember there was a touch point, and I'll bring it. There's a sentence I read in Japji Sahib, which is our Sikh scriptures, and it said, "Wealth," in the English translation, is "Wealth is not achieved by man's endeavour." Now everybody has their own interpretation of words, but my interpretation of that sentence was, "Take a breath. Everything's going to be okay," because at that point it was a bit of a pinch point for us. We had a lot of money outgoing and a lot of things going on, and I just went, "Take a breath. Everything's going to be okay." Wealth is not achieved by man's endeavours, and you don't need to work hard, work smart, cool down. So we shut the financial services company for a little while, only a short period.
It was like we were doing minimal work. So we were doing like the odd mortgage coming in. We shut our high
Reactive.
street office down and we moved the office back home. We still had one member of staff who was coming home at this point, but it wasn't priority anymore. And the thing with us is financial services is funny because financial services it's not just mortgages or life insurance. There's also pensions. There's also investments. And we were never big on pension investments. We were young. We were all about the fast book.
We was just
Yeah.
doing
And the
mortgages
fast
for
book was
everyone.
mortgages.
When you're in your 20s, you're not really thinking about a pension. That's like a
No.
50-year away.
And so we weren't thinking really
We weren't
about it.
thinking that. Our clients weren't
We weren't
thinking of it.
selling it either.
Yeah.
Even though we were was fully qualified to sell it, we weren't really. We were all on the fast kind of get people into because that had become our unique ability but not only were we doing mortgages, we were also I was sourcing property because at this point we'd got to a point where in 2008 we'd set up a sourcing company, so we couldn't buy
Deal
everything I was
sourcing.
getting offered, so I was then sending
Selling
it out
it.
to clients.
Yeah.
So it was like the two went hand in hand. So all of a sudden, if we can't buy property and we can't get lending because lending changed, Northern Rock had collapsed. So we had to sit tight. I'm going to be honest. We had a brand new house. We built a massive 7-bedroom house.
Whoa.
So we had built like a proper dream house.
And how many years into the journey was that?
So
6?
this was 2007.
So-
Jay was 6 months old when we were moving into our house.
5-6 years.
And
So
2008.
5-6 years of hustle. This is what I want to get across. You had a 7-bedroom house. That didn't come within 2 years after your 50 properties portfolio.
so
good 7 years of graft.
7 years of graft, and we were up north.
And even then, you could probably say that was still a bit early to be doing it, because when the property recession came, like, we need to hit home that you don't need to be living a big lifestyle just because you got money coming in. You know what I mean?
No,
That was
we
more-
had
yeah, but the thing is that-
it was an asset. All our decisions in life, right down to the point of where we're living now, is never based on a little bit on feelings, but it's based on paper. It's based on finances.
Yeah.
So before we step into anything, I need to know that we can get out.
Yeah.
That's the
of course.
biggest thing.
Yeah.
So there's always an exit strategy, no
Well,
matter, even to this day.
The worst case scenario.
No matter
one
what we
thinks
do.
about that, do they?
Yeah,
No.
Because at the minute we're living
That was
in
a development.
we're living in a time where everyone's over leveraged, I would say, and they're buying that house and they're buying this thing and I'm like, they're right at the brink of what they earn. So
Yeah.
if the market takes a turn now, and interest rates go up, and they've got cars and they've got credit cards and they've got all these things, like, have they got enough to get by? Like you're saying, you did the math, and you've done the math twice and 3, 4, 5 times. So you had exit strategies, you had ways to get out. But a lot of people, 99% of people, are at the edge of what, like, say if the bank comes to you and says, "Oh, we can give you £200,000 mortgage," they're going to go for the £200,000 mortgage.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, everyone's living at the edge of their finances.
Yeah, I think you need to always be aware that whatever you do, and our journey does sound amazing, and it was amazing. It was quick, we had a lot of it was done on faith, but I think we went into it knowing that we didn't have anything to lose. When you've not got anything, you've got nothing to lose, right?
Yeah.
And then when we got to the point where 2008 hit, we did have stuff to lose. So we then had to start being sensible.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time it was kind of, we went through about, I would say, 4 years where you were kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul. So the properties were paying for like the other property to be finished. At the same time, they were paying for, like, we had children at this point, and you start thinking, right. And I'll be honest, we'd put the kids were in private school. It wasn't the greatest private school. And so we thought, we moved into this village, we'd built this house, the village school was good, and at that point we thought, actually we're going to take them out, because that's like £8,000 a year at that point. £8,000 a year it was. I think their private school was nursery and whatever. It was better for us to have the £8,000 to finish off the projects that were ongoing as this credit crunch came. And I think the reality is, we look at people. And a lot of the time, people make decisions based on what people will think about them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's one thing that me and Hap have stuck by, and somebody said this to us once, and it stood with us, which is the only people that you should be worrying about are the people in your 4 walls.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? So their opinion counts. What they're fed, that they're surviving every day, you're surviving, that's what counts. The opinion of anybody else in your life does not count. So if you come to a time where you need to cut back, you cut back.
I'm glad you said that, because that's a very interesting topic. When you're living that lifestyle, it's very hard to, like, so if your kids are in private school, it's very hard to say, oh, I've got to take them out of private school and put them back into state school. Oh, what's Flanla going to say? Flanla Demka going to say? What's my mom going to say? My dad's going to say? And the other wags and moms and stuff that because it becomes a thing, doesn't it?
Of course it does. Of course it does.
In your community. And then...
there's only one thing that matters, and it's called your personal economy. That's the one latest thing I've been saying on my social media, is that you need to concentrate on your personal economy. How much are you bringing in? How much are you spending? No one else matters.
Yeah.
No other family member. They're not paying. Listen, let's not beat around the bush. Are they going to pay your bills?
Exactly.
That's what I say to people sometimes when we have client meetings. I'm like, this person that you care about, who's, your brother, your uncle, your friend, everybody goes to that school, it's really important. Yeah, that's fine, but if the shit hits the fan, are they really going to pay your bills? No. And do you want to ask them? Sometimes people mention the word parents. Oh, my parents are wealthy, this, that. Yeah, but that's fine. But do you really want to ask them? Like, we're independent now. Do you want to ask your parents for £10,000 a year to feed your kids? Come on,
no.
Like it's 2022 now. We should be able to. The parents have sacrificed so much to get us where we are. This is always in my head, that they've sacrificed so much. Like, the least we can do is raise the bar and not ask for anything back now. And then I think we should all be wealthy and successful now with all the knowledge and education we've had. It's just a matter of learning some of the rules.
The thing is, we're not, are we? Like, even me, I'm sat here, I've been very quiet. For people listening to this, they're probably thinking, Serena's not talking much here. Because I feel like I am just absorbing so much information. Because you guys, like, I really do look up to you guys and everything you've done.
We love you to bits.
Go on.
No, it's fine.
You're right. Oh, why are you getting emotional for? Oh, bloody hell. This is a podcast first. Serena's getting emotional on camera. Have we got any tissues?
To bits. No, we do. She means a lot to us.
So,
this couple,
people that don't know,
are beautiful.
People that don't know about you might have seen, like, because we've never really posted with you guys, have we? So
no.
The public might not understand. We've actually got a relationship outside of this. Like, these are my older brother and my baby. Not by blood.
Emotional.
By blood. They just become my brother and my sister over, just our relationship. So Serena's obviously listened to your journey and getting inspired, and obviously it's bringing an emotional moment. But that's good, man. That's what we should be doing, because we should be inspiring people. You guys are 100% inspiring people, but we don't want to be doom and gloomers about what's going to happen in the next couple of months. 12, 18, 24 months. But we do want to be realistic. We do want to tell the people at the end of the day, it's going to be very tough.
Yeah, we're going into a funny economy right now. We actually don't know where the country's going.
No.
I don't think we've got great leadership of the country, unfortunately, right now.
Not at all.
And the issue we have here is we don't actually have we don't have a plan B, because there isn't anybody stepping up really that could change. I know that what's happened this last week, the mini budget that's came out, I mean, it's gone crazy. Right, so we've gone from a country that people have looked up to a country where people like, the International Monetary Fund are actually looking and actually stepping in. These guys only step in for third world countries, guys. Yeah. These guys step in when Sri Lanka or Greece are going bankrupt. They don't step in and tell UK or the USA what to do. Yeah. So when they've got an opinion, it kind of shows that there's some crap going on right now.
Yeah, London's the financial capital of the world, really. So if the IMT is stepping in, trust me, it's very bad.
It's bad.
And and we're at a record lows. Sterling's at record lows. Like, if you're in India now and you got money, it's actually a good time to bring money back. I'm asking, all the money we've been paying to India. I'm saying, Paji, वापस मोड़ दे. रेट बढ़िया है पाजी.
इतने जमीन खरीद लो. इतने जमीन खरीद लो.
इतने खरीद लो तुम. वो बेच इतने खरीद लो.
Yeah.
And because like we are literally, we're all barabar, like we're at even Stevens with the dollar, really.
Yeah.
There's a world economy, there's a UK economy, and there's a personal economy. They're all different things. You can't. There's a famous sentence I'll say to everybody: you can only control what you can control. Control the controllables. We can't control what's going on in the economy. You mentioned a good point a couple of minutes ago where you talked about that we've had it easy. We have. The stock market's been rising and rising, so that means parents or our assets and our pensions look good because they're always growing. Property, everybody keeps talking about it growing. Doesn't always, it's never always like that. It's just, we've just lived in a bit of a bubble. Interest rates are nice and low, so you can get lots of credit.
No, they're not nice and low.
They were low.
No, but I mean, like, nice and low was like 2 or 3%, 4%. Like we had 0.2% over, like this is unprecedented over the whole history of time.
So one sentence I'll give everyone is when I talk about your personal economy is you've got to sort your cash flow out. Stage one, let's just get that one out and make sure we don't miss this important point. Sort your cash flow out. Dee's mentioned it now about this, how much you're spending, how much you're earning. It's really important to sort that out, like and have this philosophy. And I'll throw a wild one out there, which is not in any social media. Get rid of debt. There is no reason to have any debt. There's two types of debt you want. Good debt or bad debt. You do not want bad debt. Harpreet, what is bad debt? Bad debt is all this Klarna. It's not nice to pick on companies. There's nothing wrong with their business model. But all this companies that were encouraging us to spend now before we've got the money. How about this for a wild idea? You want to buy that Rolex? Save up for it. You want to buy that Bugatti, or you want to go to Barbados? Don't buy now, pay later. Pay the thing up front in cash. Start to get a little bit old school with your money. Yeah. Yes, it's boring. Yes, it's annoying. Or yes, you have to wait 10 years for your Rolex instead of 1 year. That's fine. That's cool. Listen, I ain't going to judge you whether you're wearing one or not. If you're a true human and you're kind, you shouldn't be judging people whatever they look like anyway. My most successful clients, of course, I promise you, my most wealthiest clients are the guys hidden in a room at a black tie dinner. You will not even recognize that they're the wealthiest guy in the room. Yeah. They're not who you think is the wealthiest. So back to the cash flow thing is get rid of debt. Now, what is good debt, Hap? What you're talking about is good debt. Go on then. So what could I buy as a good debt? Something that pays you money while you're asleep. Something that's an asset. So a mortgage for a property, good debt. That's an example. Buying something, buying an asset which could make you money. That's a good debt. So mortgages and debt are good and they're really nice because you can turn like £1,000 into £50,000 by borrowing, and then but you got to be careful with it and try to, maybe stage one is let's just try and hammer down that, kill all the debt, and then that's less pressure on us as well.
On that point, and excuse me, I'm probably going to be the one who sounds like the dummy person here.
That's all right.
But I think there's going to be people listening.
We're all learning.
And I think there's going to be people listening to this who might be like me and are not really clued up on like mortgages and stuff like that. I rely heavily on Dee to inform me on that kind of stuff. But I know you know, there's a lot of people out there who are going to be getting married like ourselves, who want to look for a house and things like that. And I know my friends who've been looking for houses and now pulled out because they're scared of what's happening, and everyone's scared. So like you just said then, getting a mortgage on a property is like good, because
property's okay up to a point. We slightly touched on it, but be careful, because if that's everything and that's your only house, I actually don't class houses, like main residences, as an asset.
Yeah, as an asset.
Assets are
It's actually a
things which make us
liability.
the money. Yeah. But if that's a way for you to kind of leverage how much money you've got, and it's something, then it's better than nothing, though.
Yeah.
I actually encourage kids to buy a house, Dee, because at least they're getting something then, rather than earning 50,000 or 20,000 a year or 100,000 a year and just living. Like you better. There's a bit of an argument, like just buy a house.
I've got something to say actually. Is it Warren Buffett? He said, "Don't bother timing the market. Worry about your time in the market."
Yeah.
So as in, if you're buying now and you're thinking about and the property market crashes next year and we lose 40%, we've still got. If you're thinking about the 25-year plan, you think
it's fine.
it doesn't matter anyway, as long as you keep paying your mortgage. It will even itself back out, and it will start, and it will trend upwards.
When I bought my second property, Sukhi don't know this because I went to meet the tenant on the day we got the keys. Sukhi mentioned about that 10,000. This was 2004. I had a young couple that were just moving out. That guy turned around to me and said, "What are you going to do if the interest rates go up or the house prices crash?" Because this was 2003, 2004. He goes, "What are you going to do if the house prices go up?" I'd only paid 50,000 for the house anyway. I said, I remember saying to him distinctly, "I don't care." I said, "I don't actually care if it's worth 10,000 because the rent's paying 400, the mortgage was 200. I was happy."
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. Warren Buffett's famous words are invest on a 20-year horizon. It's not. Don't try and play games with stocks and shares or property. There is no. Let me tell everybody, there is no get rich quick plan. Get over it. There isn't. It's a long-term plan. Put your money in something like property or shares, and you just have to sit and wait.
I think the one thing we've always said is when you get into any investment, you get into it for 15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're hitting 18 years now of being investing, and we've seen the cycle. We've seen we bought 2003, prices went crazy 2004, 2005. Our £30,000 property was worth 75. Yeah, then it dipped. 2008 came, and all of a sudden it was worth 50,000.
Yeah.
Right. So, but we were always about income. We were never about the value of the property. We were always about income.
Cash flow.
The income actually increased. Because
Rents
the mortgage rates, to get us back into the market, they started dropping them. So the rents were going up. So actually, the surplus income we had was actually increasing the whole time.
Oh wow.
Right. So we're now that same property's worth 90k.
Wow.
See, so 18 years, we've had the big drop where you get scared.
You've tripled your money in 18 years.
You know, and then now we're sitting here and the same property's worth 90k. And it's that you've got to, whenever you go into property and investments, too many people go into like, I'm going to buy a house, I'm going to flip it. It works in certain markets and it works in certain areas, but actually, in reality, you can't ever go into property thinking we're going to flip it. We went into one property in 2007, and it was just a three bed terrace, and alongside all of this, like I'd had Jay, so I had a bit of an interior shop. So, because it just sat well, and we went into it, and I was like, all right, should we do this one and try and flip this one? So we bought it. Did it all up, I spent the money, and by the flip, I think we'd have come out with 35k, market bottomed.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Because beautiful design, a trendy terraced house that we couldn't sell.
The market just bottomed. Couldn't
Then
sell
what
it.
happened?
Rented it out.
We just had to rent it out.
Because there's always got to be an exit.
Yeah.
So when you buy a property to flip, if the income stacks up for you renting it out, it's a good buy. If you're buying it to flip, and especially in this current market, we don't actually know what's going to happen with the property market.
No.
We have no idea. We're sitting here today. The likelihood is prices are going to drop.
Yeah.
You know, that's the realistic. But actually, we never know.
We never do know, yeah.
We never know, because in COVID, we expected it to happen. And it didn't really happen. Prices have actually gone up.
That's because we expected it because of we've looked at history and we've seen what happens in history. But the government did something unprecedented, didn't they?
Yeah.
So they this is the thing that we need to actually touch upon, which is the government printed a lot of money. And then put it out into the markets, and then we all of a sudden had loads of ways to borrow money, and then houses. If we can access mortgages, we're going to get them.
Yep.
So therefore, houses
Houses are going to keep going up.
So the houses went up.
So
This is
yeah,
what
the
was really
quantitative
strange.
easing, because like I heard a stat that in that first year of COVID, 40% of all US dollars ever printed in the history of the US was printed in that year. So people need to understand how much money was printed to understand why we're going through this amount of inflation now.
So the reason that, without getting too heavy on
Yeah,
economics,
but let's talk about it.
Yeah,
in,
my
in,
mind's like-
Serena's like, oh my god.
in layman's terms.
Keep it light.
In layman's
Keep it
terms.
as light.
So layman's terms,
Keep it
right?
light as you
What's happened with this mini budget is that when inflation starts going up, right?
Which is the cost of goods.
What you need to do is you need to stop people spending money. Okay, so when people stop spending money, inflation starts dropping. If inflation goes up, the only way to bring it down is to increase interest. So it's harder for people to spend money. So this budget here that we've just had, there should not have been a tax cut. Because what's happened is, because there's this 40 billion tax cut, which the country's going to have to pay for, which is why the world's panicking, but for the actual country, it means there's a lot more spending power.
Yeah.
So we should be taxing people right now, not taxing them.
Yeah.
And because there's more spending power, the interest rates are going to go up, because spending power means higher inflation. And it's as simple as that. If inflation goes up, you have to reduce people's spending to bring inflation down. If you don't reduce people's spending, it's going to have an impact on interest rates, because that's the only way to stop people spending.
That's why inflation is just going out of hand now and going
So
crazy.
yeah, and then that's why the banks are now going to put interest rates up, because all of a sudden there's a load of money floating, and the only way to bring that down is to put interest rates up and stop people spending the money. The sad thing is, with this mini budget, people that benefit from the tax cuts are actually people that don't need to benefit from the tax cuts. They're the rich.
Wealthy, the rich.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is what was really strange. This seemed like I put on one of my rants was about this seemed a political game, and
Yeah.
not
Well, it
like the
is.
Bank of England fighting against politics. Now I'll give everyone a heads up: be prepared, because if that happens, that's heading to chaos. Like, bankers are bankers; they know what they're doing. They're economists, they're forecasters. They go, oh, if you do this, this happens. If you do that, that happens. It's pretty much all planned out. When you start mixing in, oh, we're the new prime minister, we're the new chancellor. We want to let everybody know we're here. We want to make a statement. We want to give some benefits to the bankers who are already millionaires. Let's not beat around the bush.
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, there just doesn't seem to be no logic to giving people who are very wealthy more money.
More money.
Like, there's been so many jokes on social media about this, but like, there's just no logic to it. Like, the guy, I've been a financial advisor for 20 years now, and I know that people are living on the edge. I've
Yeah.
seen it for years. People laugh at me, like, how can a guy on $250,000 be on the edge? I was like, I've seen it. It's happened.
Yeah.
Income, by the way, income means nothing to me.
Nothing.
Don't tell me you're on 200 grand and think
Yeah.
that I'm going to think something. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in what your income in. I'm interested in what you save. 'Cause then I can work out if you're going to be wealthy. So think about it. Someone just pick the example of a guy on 40,000 a year, spends everything: Netflix, guy, holidays, kids in school, blah blah blah. Everything's gone. The way that the tax cuts worked, mortgages have gone up £300 a month. Gas has gone up £300. That guy now has zero, or possibly minus 500 a month. He's in trouble.
Yeah.
So you can see that this is heading to a major issue where they have no money left.
So what can we do? Like,
Yeah.
So people are listening right now. So it's all good. Us saying the whole point of this podcast is we need to give
Practical tips.
we need to be practical with
So-
it. What can people at home who have never who don't understand what we're talking about and never been in this situation, what can they do to weather the storm, basically, to get through?
So a couple of things is, what should they not do? I think the first thing is, so a lot of people, if you've got a family, young family, you've bought a house, you've probably took out some life insurance or critical insurance. So when we say to you, look at your expenses and cut them back, these are two things you do not cut back on. You keep paying your premiums because of the situation we're in. And if something ever happened, these are your insurance policies. These are kind of it's your parachute
Your
if something
insurances.
ever goes wrong in your life. So they are not expenses that you can cut.
Yeah,
That's
a
the
good
first and
point.
foremost. And unfortunately, because people don't see the value in them, because it's not a nice thing or it's not something nice you can watch, those are the things people think, well, I don't really need that. I'll get it. I'll reinstate it in a couple of years, because you don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen.
So that's one of the most important things is, if you have got those, don't stop them. Secondly, what you need to be doing is looking at what you're spending. So you need to get your bill out, get your bank statements out, and look at what's going out, and look at actually, if you're feeling like you're going to feel the pinch, you need to work out what you need to stop spending. So it might be, you might have Prime, you might have Amazon, you might have Sky. Well, you know, you might have Netflix. Work out what out of that you can cancel. Like, how much TV can you actually watch? Secondly, look at, you know, look at your job.
Amazon, Netflix, Sky, and who is it, Hulu or whatever, and Bollywood. Let's not even go to the Star Plus and all this stuff.
So work out what you actually practically need, and then cut those things out, because they're easy things to cut out. Worst case scenario, you're going to end up with 4 TV channels, or Freeview actually is 100 and something, isn't it? You know, that's what you're going to end up with. Yeah. Realistically, that's enough. There's
that's
YouTube.
More than we had growing up.
We had 4 channels.
1, 2, 3, 4. And then 5.
We got 5, and it was like the world had like opened up. It was like, whoa.
Cut back on your expenses. So
cut back on your expenses. When you're going out shopping, right? Your weekly shopping, you know, don't look at the brands. Look at the own branded stuff. That's fine. When you're looking at clothes, look at your wardrobe and work out, what can I work seasonal, take from summer to winter, what can I layer up, like those kind of things. You're looking at your children, again, look at what can you get them, maybe a size bigger. You know, these are the things that we need to look at. That's the bottom way. That's where you have to start if you're saving money. In terms of credit card debt and all of that, I'll let Harpreet talk about that. We do something called Debt Snowball with our clients. Basically, it's all about paying your debt off. So right now, you need to be looking at reducing your outgoings. The only way to reduce that is to pay some of your debt off. So if you've got credit cards, firstly, stop putting stuff on them.
Yes.
Now is the time.
Number 1, stop
if you can't afford it, you can't have it.
Yeah, 100%.
It's as simple as that. And a lot of us think it's free money, because if the interest rates go up, and as they are going up, guess what else is going to go up? Your credit card interest rate is going to go up. Yeah, so we're talking about mortgages, but we're not actually talking about something that we all have in our purses that we whack stuff on thinking, I'll pay it off next month. Because if something goes wrong next month, you might not be able to pay that off.
100%.
And that's going to have an impact on your mental health as well.
And can I add in on that one? Earning more money does not fix this.
No.
So for those out there thinking, if I earn more money, I'll be able to pay my credit. When they get promotion, everything's going to get fixed. No, it will not work. I promise you, a strategy is a strategy. You don't start paying more gym membership and then suddenly become stronger and fitter. It doesn't work like that. You have to go 5 times a week for 35 minutes or whatever. And there's a structure that works. So the structure Sukhi's talking about is you need to start to eliminate debt. One of the easiest solutions I find, I sit with clients sometimes like, do you realise that if you paid all your debt off, you'd be £300 or £3,000 richer a month? Oh yeah, I never thought of that. That would change your life. So let's just have a honed down strategy and a whistle stop fast explanation of how to pay off your debt quickly. Is concentrate on one debt at a time. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. The smallest one. Overpay as much as you can. Pay the minimum on the others. Pay off one at a time and relax and get over it. So if you agree with a strategy of, I don't know, let's pick a figure of 50, 50, 50 to all of them, and then 300 to the small one. That's £500 a month. Just pick the figure, get on with your standing order and direct debit and pay it. Done. And move on from debt, by the way. Don't get too obsessed with it. Pick a figure, stick to that exact figure. If you get any lump sums or bonuses, if you get £20 from your mum or your auntie for a birthday like all Punjabis do, then stick the £20 off your debt. Don't go and blow it, and that's it.
Yeah, that's a good point. The best way to earn more money is to reduce your outgoings, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Like you said. So instead of trying to earn more money, the first thing to look at is
going to increase your stress. It's just increases anxiety. I've heard it on the phone last week. When I get that promotion next year, everything will be fine. Yeah, but what if you don't get it? What if you get made redundant the day before you get promotion? What if that job doesn't happen? I see so many people thinking that their work's guaranteed. One thing that you brought up at the start, like we've been in a low interest rate economy, that's also a boom economy in terms of jobs. And you know it's a job market now.
Yeah, 100%.
But what if, just throw it out there, what if you didn't earn that income?
Yeah.
What if something happened? What if they made you redundant next month? Could you handle it? So another piece of advice is work on the debts, but also work on something called an emergency fund. It sounds a bit boring, but can you handle 3 months without working? So if you spend $2,000 a month, that's 3 times 2, 6,000. Are we all right with that? Does that make sense? 6,000 roughly in savings. Have you got it? If you haven't, that's cool. Don't get stressed. Just start building up for it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Then you start doing your funny investments and stuff. Yeah. So that's that. I think we'll just keep it simple.
That's the basics of it.
Just keep it basic.
In terms of young young couples like yourselves, okay, we're from a culture that we're really lucky. Majority of us have got parents that will quite happily, you can live at home.
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't mean you spend every single penny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is going back to what the lesson DB gave you when you first met him.
Funny one,
in
yeah.
that,
She's really good
in
now.
that in that spa. Do you know what? You're at home. Your parents
Got
look
to
after
take
you.
advantage of
There's
it.
food
Of
on the
course, makes
table.
sense.
You know, we're very lucky and fortunate we're from this culture.
Yeah.
Like where we provide for children, our parents provide for us. So now's the time for you to save and invest.
And
There is-
invest in you. I need to bring this up because people have brought this up to
there's
me.
two things.
I'm helping the family. I'm helping this. Help them up to a point. But I believe back to that personal economy thing. Help yourself as well.
Yeah.
If you're, and I'm going to bring this up. I've had a female say to me, I lived at home, so I pretty much built the extension. I paid for this, I paid for that. Okay, that's cool, but now you're 33, now you're working with me. You're about to get married and you've got no money. So
Yeah.
this is a totally separate topic you can take further, Serena.
God, honestly,
about girls
yeah.
feeling that they have to pay everything for a family house. To help build this huge new extension.
And
For who?
boys.
For and boys.
And boys.
For who? For mum and dad. You're going to leave anyway.
Yeah.
If you're going to stay there, that's cool. That's a different story. And listen, I'm not here to
You
disrespect
got to put yourself
parents.
first at some
I'm
point.
not here to disrespect families.
Yeah.
Listen, they've done a lot for us.
Yeah, of course.
But you have to look after your personal economy. Ultimately, you're going to have to feed your kids. You're going to have to take your kids to private school. And the later you leave it, 20, 30, 40, let me just say it's harder to make that kind of money where you're not putting pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
Try to think, how can I stop working as fast as I can and earn £3,000 a month or 5,000 or 10,000, whatever the figure is. It's all hypothetical.
It is,
Yeah.
and I think
We didn't know that because we got married at 22.
Right, guys, I'm going to have to interject because I know we haven't got much time left. And I literally think we need a part 2 to this because what Harpreet just
deep
brought
one.
up there, that's a
told you.
deep topic.
I knew Serena would
So
laugh.
we are going to 100% get Harpreet and Sukhi back. But you know what? This has been a very emotional podcast for me. It's been very, you know, good, some really good advice as well. But what I want to do and wrap it up, we always like to leave things on a positive note. So we're going to play our game now, rated, not rated.
Oh, here we go.
Taryn, our videographer, has literally got to go. So Taryn, I promise you, we're only going to be
Big
5
up
minutes
Mr.
more.
Taran Dalibar. Follow him, yeah?
Bless Taryn Daliwal. He's been such a gem today trying to get this podcast sorted and up for you guys. So we have got some, let me talk into the mic. So we have got some topics here and we just want to know quickly from you guys, rated or not rated. So I'm going to get kick-started. Okay, rated or not rated designer handbags.
yeah, you know me, yeah, I gotta say rated.
You'd be surprised that actually.
But on that, I only
Quality.
buy bags which I know make money.
Yeah.
So I have
pieces.
got, I buy investment pieces. I love my handbags, but I will not go into a shop and just buy something I love. I look at it, I work out whether it's an investment,
Can we just
and
kill
I
you
buy
there,
them.
guys? You'll be 2 hours.
Yeah,
of it.
I know.
Okay.
Can we do a handbag
What
podcast?
year did you get your first bag?
Did you
What
see?
year?
Did you see what I have to
So-
put up
What
with
year?
there? That's the
Quickly.
debate and then
Yeah.
the investment
Mine-
argument for hours. I hear it in my ear.
My first handbag was
Rated or not rated?
£300 and it was in 2004 and Hap got me it after I had Josh.
There you
Okay.
go. Right, next
Rated.
one. D, can you read that?
Arranged marriages.
Do you know what? I'm going to say
rated.
rated, even
Yeah.
though
Oh,
we're
rated.
not. We're love marriage,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
really think there's a place for arranged marriages, especially in this environment these days, because people are getting married late and they don't meet the right people. So rated.
Rated.
Love that.
Next
this
one.
next one, this one's a funny one
You do it.
because maybe if we're all getting into a bit of a financial
Go on,
struggle
go on.
situation, this
Say
is
it.
what we can resort to. OnlyFans.
Oh
You know,
my god.
we talked about this on the way over here.
Did
and
you?
I am going
right, you're trying to sell it to him.
I'm going to
I
say
was trying to think about your audience that
I'm
you
going to
know,
say
making
rated.
money.
It's a side hustle.
It's
you
a
know?
side hustle.
Good.
Listen.
There
If
we
you
go.
could put in-
Financial wealth experts
I mean,
telling us
it's
to
not
get onto
our industry.
OnlyFans.
Listen.
You heard it here.
Listen.
These are the
listen.
financial experts. They want you to have side hustles. So do you, boo?
Now, can I just say, there was
If
this
someone
you.
gets excited with a picture of your
TikTok-
toe.
There was this TikTok I saw, right? A husband and wife lying in bed. The husband leans over and takes a sneaky pic of his wife's feet.
Yeah.
I'm showing
I would
current
do that.
situation, what we're doing. What do you mean you do that?
Listen, there's already pages of your feet. There's already pages of her feet.
Can we not say this now? Because I don't
There's
want people to
already-
go over there.
So what?
Listen.
Don't I make money out of it?
Don't,
Anyway,
let's
next one,
not
next
go
one.
into it. Right,
Okay.
next one, go on.
Crocs.
On the
Crocs.
topic of feet.
Crocs are comfy.
No, not
Oh, there we
rated.
go.
Not rated.
Crocs.
I knew
Rated.
Harpreet
I
would
knew
say
you would say that. I
Not
could just tell you.
rated.
Yeah,
I
rated.
could tell you was a Crocs man.
Okay, next one. Sex before marriage.
Oh.
Parents of kids here.
Do you know what?
I know, that's why I asked
Awkward.
Parents have quick kids here, but actually we live in this world, and I should say not rated, but I think we got to be realistic. If somebody's 28 and so we got to go rated,
I'm going to just no comment on that one.
He's pleading
His kids just got to uni.
the fifth.
But if you're my child, it is not rated.
Yes.
Can I just
Sorry to
clarify
back up,
this?
not rated
Mum and
on
Dad
that.
is saying not rated.
Don't rush. Love.
Okay.
Interfaith marriages.
Right,
Funny
it's
one.
a funny one, and
Listen, everyone's human.
I think
We've got
everybody has a
different opinions,
choice, right? Personally, I'm a bit like not rated, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I think when you come into a culture, if you start mixing everything, the cultures disappear, and I really think it's really, really. You should actually protect your culture and where you come from.
Yeah.
And I'm very faithful, so I'm all about faith. So to me, if God puts you in a certain religion, you should grow that religion.
Yeah.
Interesting.
However, I'm going to back that one up and say my bit, which is as long as love is love. Love's more powerful than anything. So as long as each faith continues to respect their faith, I think.
Yeah, if you are in an interracial marriage, I think you should be able to follow your faith.
I think each faith continues to respect their faith.
So there you go.
Talking about being faithful, affairs.
Oh, not rated.
Well, obviously they're not rated, but I just wanted to get a bit more out of you guys because you've been married for how many years?
Yeah.
Do you know what
Listen,
I would
it's a
say?
huge topic,
I would
this,
what I would
especially
say
for men, I
about it
think.
is that if people break up because of one, then you weren't in the right marriage in the first place, right? So you got to. I think it's about who you are and what you are, and if you can work through this stuff, then work through it. But if you can't, and it means you break up, you break up.
But my view on it is, on a male perspective, maybe is. Listen, there's always exciting things outside. Let's not beat around the bush. Marriages need work. You got to commit to the long-term journey with each other. It's too easy to go to the other side. Do you remember that, guys? Like, it is tempting. I'm really into brotherhood and guys going out with each other and not putting yourselves in positions where it may happen, such as, and I don't drink, but it's nothing against alcohol. Just be careful around alcohol and being with members of the opposite sex.
Yeah.
Like, just don't try to stay out of that position, which something could happen. So I'm very protective of who I'm with and what I do.
But that doesn't
that's
mean every marriage is the right marriage.
Yeah, so there's two different angles.
So there's always right. If
you're not happy, you're not happy.
not happy, then there's a reason for it. So you need to work on that if you
Yeah.
want to protect your marriage.
100%.
And it does happen. So you got to
Yeah.
be realistic.
Take a
Amazing.
We
breather
heard
on
it from Harpreet Sukhi once again.
Deep
This has
that
been so good. I 100%. We need to get
Enlightening.
a part 2
We
done.
need a part 2.
Yeah, we're going to go
Yeah.
into more depth
In a few months' time, let's see how the market goes.
Yeah.
You bring
Anytime.
us back and say, Suki,
But-
what did you say?
We're different, isn't it? It's been a pleasure, honestly. You're a beautiful couple. We've got a lot of love for you guys. Anything we could do to help you or your community, we'd be.
So
beyond
what's our take homes from today? Quickly, then let's say savings. Look at what you're earning. Cut down on things that you need to cut down on. Keep your essentials in place, like life insurances and your bills and all that kind of stuff.
Pay off debt.
Pay off
Speak to a
debt.
financial advisor.
Speak to a financial advisor.
100%.
Big up Atwal Wealth.
Listen, this is going to prove it, and I'm not doing a pitch here, but the days of going on the computer and fixing all your problems, no, you need a human to talk to.
Yeah.
What should I do?
Because everyone has a different.
Yeah, and we're the third eye, we're the third
situation.
principle. We think you should do this.
That's it. We're going to carry on this discussion.
Because we do
need
need
to
to
do
talk
the
about
positive
investing.
start with.
But
Yeah.
let's see how the market plays out in the next few months, and then we'll revisit.
Yeah, 100%,
what
100%. But keep doing what you guys do. Look, you supported
you,
your
man.
community today, man.
It's
You've
amazing.
respect for you to reaching out
Respect
to
for you
us.
guys. Thanks for jumping
Thanks for
in
coming
last
on
minute
so
as
quick as
well.
well.
Making so many people
Do you know
smile
what?
as well.
Thank you for actually thinking about this
Yeah.
today, because actually it's really important. And I'm so glad you guys were like, actually, bookstore at Street Smart. I'm
Yeah.
loving it. This is all about that today.
And let me sneak something in. I'm known as the dancing financial advisor. People know me as joking around and having fun. And on a last point, have fun, like relax. Stop getting worked up about all this. It is what it is. We can't control everything.
Yeah.
Smile, have fun, socialize. I'm a big fan of meeting people. So you do what you have to do. Keep listening to these guys and
Talk to
smile
us.
and have fun.
Make sure you follow Harpreet and Sukhi. They've always bundles of joy.
Thank you so much, guys. Give it up for Harpreet and Sukhi.
Thank you.